Today's video is going to be on solutions that we can use to help fix our economic situation here in the U.S. Today we're going to be talking about government agencies and private entities and the difference between them and why we need more private entities than government intervention. I'm also going to do a few more videos on regulations and different things that we can change in government if we can get the right people to do it, that we can change and be more profitable in the way we do things. So with that being said, let's dive right in. Now, as of last year, our amount of spending that was allocated for government of our GDP was 60%. So in other words, on the gross domestic product, which is a value that we use to, and all governments use to gauge how much productivity they have in their economic system every year. As of last year, the government portion of it was 60%, which only leaves 40% for our private entities, or entrepreneurs, or private businesses. And we, in order to be more profitable and more productive, we need to move more of the government spending back toward private spending. Now, here's our base case for doing this. We're going to look at government bureaucratic agencies, and we're going to look at private entities. And these are going to be your mom and pop shops. They're going to be your local hardware stores. They're going to be your local contractors, and how they operate versus how a government bureaucratic agency operates, say like your school board. Alright, so let's dive right in here. The private entity, they operate for a profit, and they have to be productive in order to achieve this profit. Private entities, in order to stay in business, have to get the most done with the least amount of resources that they can. Now, whether those resources be man hours, whether they be dollars spent, or whether they be gasoline in the vehicle, diesel in the tractor, whether they be just whatever that they have expenses for, the least amount they can spend to get the same amount done, the more profitable the private entity is. Now let's look at the government bureaucratic agencies. These agencies are not for profit. They are built supposedly for me and you. They are less productive than the private entity, and they're just less productive altogether. And the reason they're less productive is because they have to use all of their budget that they're allocated from one year in order to get the same allocation for the next year, or to get a raise in budget to where they can get more done. It doesn't matter that they're more profitable or they spend less of the budget doing stuff. They still, if they come in with a lesser amount used and they have a surplus in their budget, when the budget is made for the next year, the agency over them, the people over them that writes their budget, will allocate them less to use, and they'll have a shortfall for the next year. And since if they have a shortfall, they have no way of making it up, they have to use all of their budget from year to year. Now, let's get into why or how we need to do this. And I'm going to use the example of the DOT. Now, we've all seen them, the Department of Transportation out here working on roads. We've all seen them, the big orange cones. Sometimes they hold up traffic. But we're going to go into this on why, if we split the DOT up, and how we can do it. And this is just one agency. How that we can save money. And these are examples, they're not real numbers, but we're going to use these for examples. So we have a stretch of road the DOT says needs to be repaved. The DOT comes and says, well, we're going to allocate $50,000 to repaving that road. We need the potholes fixed. We need the stripes repainted. You know, they get out their equipment. The DOT has these workers that they've got to do this. They have the equipment they've bought with taxpayer money, and they also have the resources that they've bought that they have to use in order to repave this stretch of road. And they're saying it'll cost them $50,000 to do it. Now, when the DOT starts out, they will use that $50,000 on that project. Whether they could get it done for $35,000 or not, they will use the $50,000 because they know if they don't use it, when they say, okay, we've got this stretch of road, we think we can get it done for $65,000, and the budget guys go, well, you got this other stretch of road done for $35,000. You said $50,000. So we're going to give you $55,000 and you get it done with that. So you see, that's why they have to use their whole allocation and their whole budget. Now, let's hop over here to our solution. We can reduce our DOT down to mainly being inspectors. These guys go out and say, okay, get their pen and paper, we got to fix this stretch of road, this stretch of road, this stretch of road. All right, they come back, they bid it off. We got Corporation ABC, Corporation XYZ, Corporation 123. We got 3 private corporations here that are operating for profit. Now, they say we want the same stretch of road done as these guys here said $50,000 take to fix it. Well, that's what we're going to spend on it. Well, these guys come in, they go, Corporation ABC says, well, I can get it done. It'll take me about 3 months, but I can get it done for $45,000. Corporation XYZ says, I can start on it next week. It'll take me about 6 weeks. We can do it for $40,000. Corporation 123 says, we'll start on it next week. We'll get it done in a month, but it's going to cost you $42,000. Now you see the difference here is we put this on a market and bid it off the contracts to see what we could get it done for, as opposed to allocating extra money that we didn't need to spend on it to let our guys work on it. See here, this is a monopoly, just one corporation. This is 3 corporations, all operating for profit. The quicker they get this job done, they get to move to the next job. The more jobs they get done in a year, the more they get paid for the year. Goes back to that profit motive. The more jobs they get done, the more money they make. The more money they make, the happier they are. These guys don't care. They've got so many $1,000 budget to use this year. They use X amount for this road, X amount for that road. We've got to have enough work to work all year. These guys say, hey, get out here and get this done. We'll find you something else to do. We'll be bidding more contracts. So you see, we can get more done in the same amount of time by contracting it out, bidding it out for contractors to do. And this is just on talking about paving roads. Think about how many government agencies we got that operate under the same principles. They get a certain amount of money they have to spend, and they'll spend it. Whether it's on stuff they have to have or they don't have to have. So what? It's taxpayer money. You look at these guys and say, hey, we don't have to have that new piece of equipment. Put that other one in the shop and fix it. These guys go, hey, that piece of equipment tore up. We can't afford to fix it. Let's go get another one. We've got this extra money we need to spend. See, they'll go out and buy a new dump truck just because they got to spend the money. These guys go, hey, my dump truck's 5-year-old and it's still running just as good as it was the day I bought it. I'm going to use it. Goes back to being for profit. So this is one way we can bust up government agencies and reduce the amount of government spending for GDP. Stay tuned for the next video where we go through regulations and how regulations actually hamper business creation and how they make it harder to operate businesses. and how that by reducing regulations, we can increase the amount of productivity in our economy.